great grandma, she would tell me stories, right? And one of the stories was that there was a period where her whole family would have to hide in caves because they were really scared of the sun. And
They were what?
They were afraid of the sun. Yeah. And, I was little when she would tell me these stories. So I was just taking that all in. I never questioned, just took it all in. But as I grew older, I started thinking, why are they being afraid of the sun? Is that a thing? That's why I was asking you, like, what did you think about those?
The only thing I could come up with in regards to this folklore of a story of hiding from the sun, I could only think it as a post-colonialism folklore story, because being the darker you are, the more inferior. It's equivalent to me being a kid and playing out in the sun and my mom telling me, "Quítate del sol, cabrón, te estás haciendo más prieto." So I think that these are folklore stories that were made up to scare us from being out in the sun, to prevent us from getting darker. If you want my honest opinion, outlook. Now, I am very careful when it comes to indigenous people's history and who is teaching it. If you pay attention to European historians who teach us about our own people, our own history, they teach us what? There's this channel on YouTube and on television as well. It's called Ancient Aliens. There's this historian on there who say that the temples in Mexico, the pyramids in Mexico, the Teocalis rather, in Mexico, were built by aliens. Why? Check this out. Why were they built by aliens? Well, let's see. You see, the architecture that was used to build these temples, white people to this day can't replicate it. And this is where the false sense of superiority that white people have comes into play. You see, their attitude is, if we can't build those, there's no way that you inferior people could build that. So we know now where they come from. Aliens, a superior species from another planet, had to have been the reason and the way that those pyramids, rather temples, were built. Because if we, the superior race, even to this day, with our advanced technology, cannot build that, there's no way you built that. So now we are learning our history from a people not only that colonized us, that try to wipe us out and try to steal our identity, but also that feel that they are superior and we inferior. They think so inferior of us that they will not give us the credit for building that. Now, how is this relevant to what you said? Check this out. These same European historians say that the Aztecs were sacrificing virgins to their gods. Here's the problem. The concept of virginity is a religious concept, specifically Christian and or Catholic concept. Judeo-Christian, to indigenous people, the concept of virginity didn't mean anything. It didn't exist. So how is it possible that we were sacrificing virgins when virginity was not even a thing? These are the flaws when these Europeans try to teach us about our history. How can we justify the fact that we wiped out civilizations of these people? Well, let's teach them that, hey, you guys were wiping each other out before we come here. You seen the movie Apocalypto? Good example. This is a movie of an uncivilized, bloodthirsty people that were hunting each other down for fun. And at the end of this movie, the main character is running. And these other people, indigenous people as well, is running after him, trying to hunt him down. And then all of a sudden they all stop to the sight of the Europeans arriving. That movie's trying to teach you that you guys would have wiped each other out if we didn't come and save you. You see, so when you tell me that the Aztecs were sacrificing, according to who? Because if you do some history, some research, you realize how advanced a civilization, the quote-unquote Aztec civilization, really was. The diet itself of the quote-unquote Aztec was mostly vegan. And the only time that they ate meat was when the weather was preventing the crops, the plantation to grow, right? There was these things, and there still is these things called chinampas. You've heard of that? Chinampas are these gardens that float on the water. It was an invention by the quote-unquote Aztec people. If you go to Google and type in chinampas and do some research on what and how advanced these floating gardens were, this is where majority of the diet came from for the quote-unquote Aztec people. These people already had underground plumbing in the time when the Europeans arrived. Europeans didn't have that technology yet. You see, what the Europeans have tried to do for the longest, have always tried and still try, is to justify wiping out these people, our people. Yeah. When they come up with stories like that, oh, you guys were wiping each other out. Oh, you guys didn't really build that, it was aliens. The fact that we have accepted being taught our own history from the people not only that tried to wipe us out and colonized us, but also think of themselves as the superior race and look upon us as inferior, and created a standard of beauty that is white, and tried to teach us that in order to be beautiful and feel superior is to be them, to look like them, etc. That has been our problem. We have allowed them to teach us who we were. So what will this cause? If we allow them to tell us where we come from and who we are, well, we come from a people who never accomplished anything. We didn't build that. It was aliens. Okay, we were wiping each other out. So, well then thank you, Europeans, for coming. You see, there's an agenda here. There's a narrative that they're trying to push, and it's the narrative of trying to convince us that their arrival and their colonization was our savior. And then what comes with believing that we come from a people that have contributed to nothing and also have been wiping each other out for fun before they came. Well, then we don't want to be those people then. So let's proudly assimilate into the white culture. You see, it's so problematic to allow them to teach us who we are. Do I believe that we were sacrificing our own people? No, I don't. I don't believe anything that white people teach us. There's no way that you convince me that the colonizer not only tried to physically wipe us out, but after they realized that they couldn't, then they tried to erase us ethnically on paper. These are the same people that are teaching us who we are and where we come from. And that's why I do not bother with anything that they teach me. It will lead to us feeling inferior, developing internalized racism, and desiring to assimilate. That is the goal. That is the goal.